Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. I thought I would share today one of my favorite go-tos. I feel like every time I record a video, I'm always doing shredded chicken, but my husband really loves chicken tinga. So I thought I would share with you guys since I do make it very simple. I add carrots to my salsa. So first thing we want to do is we do want to cook the chicken, okay? So the chicken and the sauce are two different things, but I like to make things simple in the sense that I'm gonna add the chicken, I'm going to add the carrots so it gets cooked there, I'm going to add onion, and that way the broth gets flavor because I do use the broth for my salsa as well. What I like to do is I like to buy the family pack chicken breast. This would give us enough chicken for almost a whole week. And then sometimes what I do, sometimes not all the time, I always make it plain. Sometimes I'll leave it plain and I'll add green salsa, and the other half I'll make it into chicken tinga, so that way it's two different protein styles. So I just add the whole chicken as is. Let me wash my hands, and I'm going to add onion because this is the onion that I also use in the salsa, and my husband does like me to make double batch. So I'm gonna make 2 onions. I don't cut it or anything like that, so it holds up its shape. I'm just gonna put the onions in there, and then I'm going to add carrots because the carrots are going to add flavor to the broth, and they also add a little bit of sweetness to the salsa as well. And it's like you're adding veggies to your salsa. Nobody ever notices. Another thing is if you guys struggle with eating your carrots get really dry, I noticed that if you put your carrots in water, they last a lot longer. So when I get home from the market, I like to buy the baby carrots because I'm not gonna cut big carrots, and then I just add them in water. I'm gonna put, this was roughly like 1.5 packs. I'm only gonna put 1 pack because otherwise it might be too much, or I don't know if there's a such thing as too much, but I definitely like to split it in half. In case you don't know what my cooking style is, my cooking style is I'm gonna put things together and I hope it tastes really good. I feel like most people don't experiment with cooking. That's why a lot of people think of like you need a recipe because we're so worried about the food not tasting good. We never think about like, what if it does taste good? Like when I first added the carrots and we decided to add carrots to the salsa, at first I was like, oh, maybe it's a little bit weird. My mom's gonna think it's weird. That's not how she showed me how to make tinga. But my husband really likes it. And I can't even tell that it has carrots. So then what I do is we're gonna add water. So water I add about, this is about 32 ounces. I cover enough where the chicken gets covered, but I don't fill it all the way because you wanna keep in mind that the chicken is going to let out some juices, and so are the carrots. So you don't want to put too much, okay? I do like to add oregano to my pot, and I add salt. And then I also have like a bunch of seasonings here that I never know what to use them with. So every so often I add different things. For example, like I didn't know what, I'm gonna say it wrong, marjoram, I don't know. And I just started adding it, and I don't even think you could taste it. For now, I'm just going to add salt. I add quite a bit of salt if I'm honest, because the broth soaks it up a lot. You can't really tell that it has a lot of salt. And then what I do is for the salsa, I don't add any salt to it because it's already salty enough. And then we're gonna add the oregano. If you were expecting me to give you exact portion sizes, sorry, this is the way I do it. I feel like this is very typical Mexican cooking where you say just a little bit of this and a little bit of that. There's no precise cooking. I'm going to add some garlic. I'm gonna add enough garlic. If you don't have an Instant Pot, you could do this on a slow cooker. You can also do this on the stove top. The Instant Pot, I really like it because I only cook the chicken for about 30 minutes and it stays really moist. I know my mom likes to cook the chicken in the stove top and she leaves it for roughly around 2 hours. I personally think it kind of dries it up Hopefully my mom's not listening to this. But I think if you do it on the stovetop, try to keep it for an hour or so. Make sure that the chicken is cooked. I would do it for an hour. I don't think you need to do it for that long. And then you can do it on a crock pot as well. The only thing with the crock pot is maybe the onions would get very dissolved or mushy. I probably would have to cook extra onions on the side for the salsa. Okay, so all I do here is I put on the lid. I make sure the vent is closed, and then we're gonna put poultry 30 minutes. It's gonna do it on its own. I don't have to think about it. And then once this is cooked, then I take out the chicken because I don't want it to continue cooking. I let it cool down for a little bit because of the broth, and then I'm gonna make the salsa. So once I have that, I'll go ahead and bring you guys back up and show you guys how I make my chicken tinga. My chicken has been done. Now I'm gonna do something that I am sure that you're not supposed to do. It's up to you if you have an Instant Pot and you wanna do this. I'm doing it. This is how I do it. You do wanna be careful because you can get burned. So because I don't like to leave, since I don't like to leave the chicken in here for a good while, I can't wait for the little vent to release itself, and you can't just open it. So what I like to do is I like to put a kitchen towel. I have to wash this kitchen towel. I move it away from everything, and then I let it release. Like I said, you don't want to do this without the towel, otherwise you can burn yourself because of the steam. I'm gonna let it release. Once it's released, then I open up the top, and then I take out the chicken. So all the steam has been out. So now I can open it. Like I said, you do want to be careful because the top does get really hot. The steam gets very hot as well. Okay, so now it's out. And what I'm going to do is bring out the chicken. It's still boiling and everything. So like I said, I'm going to be extra careful with all of this. So then in my Tupperware, I put all my chicken in there. And let me show you how easy and moist it is, because all you can do is like, I don't even need a fork. Like if I shred it while it's still hot, I can easily just do it with the tongues. That's why I really like this. I'm gonna put all the carrots to the side. What I do here is I just take it out, I shred it and let it cool down. And then I let the broth cool down so that way I can make the sauce with all of this. And then once I start making the sauce, I can show you guys how I can do it. I just wanted to show you how easy it is to shred the chicken breast. See, super easy. It just falls apart. So I personally like to shred it while it's still warm, because I noticed that once it's cold, it's really hard to shred. So that's the first part of the chicken tinga. And then I can always reuse this. So like today I'm like, oh, broth, like a soup sounds really good. So I might just make a soup as well with this and the shredded chicken. Now we're gonna make the salsa for the tinga. And also I like to make enough. I'm pretty sure I mentioned this, but my husband really likes the salsa, so he adds it to everything. So I always have to make extra for him. So what I did is on a pot, I cooked tomatoes. And what you want to do is cook the tomatoes to the point where they break a little bit. So let me show you this way. So see how the tomato skin is broken? That's how I tend to cook it. And I'm going to make 2 batches. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do 2 big tomatoes here. On the next one, I'll do 3 tomatoes. And then I'm adding that onion that I put in here. I'm gonna leave the other onion for the other salsa. I'm going to add the carrots. Do not ask for precise measurements because, like I said, I don't really do the precise measurements. I just kind of go along and just make enough. And then you want to add the chipotle. I do use this brand, La Costeña, and I tend to add 3 to 4, depends how spicy you want it. It's just preference. Sometimes I add too much and I make it a little too spicy, but it's okay. And then you do want to add, because it comes with like adobo, you want to use the adobo as well. I'm going to add some of the broth. Now, because I tend to do it more for like the chicken, so this one's probably going to be the sauce for the chicken, the salsa. I like to make it a little bit runny. I'm gonna go ahead and blend it. This is what it looks like right now. So there's the carrots, there's tomato, there's onion, and I'm going to blend it. And then once I blend it, I'm going to add it to the chicken. And I'm gonna use the same pot because my husband, he washes the dishes and I gotta be nice and not make a huge mess. Sometimes I do. I blended my salsa. I do suggest you taste it to see how you like it with salt or spiciness and all those things, because I make my broth a little salty. I didn't have to add any salt to this. I could have added a little bit more chipotle peppers, but because we're just gonna add it to the chicken, sometimes I feel like you just want it as flavor. It's not really going to, you know, make the chicken that spicy. That's why I'm making extra as well. So all I do from now, I take my shredded chicken that I did and I add the salsa to a pot. I'm gonna make my second batch of salsa. And then I just add my chicken to it and I let it cook. I let it marinate in there. That way the chicken doesn't feel dry or boring. What I like to do with this, we do a lot of tacos. I still make the little flautas. I haven't had any issues with it. Sometimes they come out a little soggy, sometimes they don't. And I make taco salad, taco bowls, anything with this. Now I'm gonna go ahead and do my other batch of salsa and I'll show you guys once my chicken is done. All right, I made my second batch and that one I'm just gonna store it in the fridge, but let me show you. So with my tinga, what I did is I added a little bit more broth because the sauce was a little bit too thick. This is what it looks like. Obviously, if you like your food a little bit more spicy, then it can look a little bit more red, a little bit more traditional. Mine doesn't look as red because we like it spicy, but not too spicy. We wanna be able to enjoy it. Plus, like right now, being pregnant, I get heartburn, so I'm not gonna make things spicy. And I also think the carrots give it a little bit more of a orange tone, and that's why it looks like that. But yeah, if you give this recipe a try, go ahead and give me a thumbs up. Leave it in the comments below what you thought about it. I really like making this recipe almost twice or 3 times a month because it is one of my husband's favorite way to eat shredded chicken. And if he likes to eat it that way, I don't have to cook double or anything like that. And it's a win-win. Bye.